Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and we have a very fun lesson for you today.
That's right. We're going to talk about toys. So we're going to actually take a look at a lot of different types of toys, and we're going to be listening to a couple of commercials.
That's right. So we've got two children who are watching TV, and they're listening to a number of different commercials. So we're going to learn about some of these very popular products in a moment. Let's first listen to our dialogue.
SpongeBob SquarePants will be right back after these brief messages. What's that on the horizon? A pirate ship. Raid villages and find buried treasure with this new Pirates Lego set. Build a ship and decide who rules the sea. Arr!
Cool! The new Play-Doh Sparkling Brights Precious Gem Press. Make large, colorful gems for you and your friends with 5 special molds. Comes with the new Sparkling Brights Play-Doh compound in 4 new colors. Treasure chest sold separately.
Wow, Mommy! Can I get that for my birthday?
Wolverine, Jean Grey, Rogue, and Professor X. Collect all 4 of these special edition collectible X-Men action figures and decide the future of the mutants in our world.
No way! I want Professor X!
The new Collector's Edition Nursery Rhymes Porcelain Dolls. Little Bo Peep comes with her own sheep and staff. Her clothes are made with the finest fabrics and real Italian lace, and her face has been hand-painted by our finest artists. Only $199.
Ooh, she's pretty. I've never had a porcelain doll before. I doubt Mom and Dad will get you that for your birthday. She costs a pretty penny. Plus, you'd most likely break her.
What is better than a board? What is better than one board game? 3 board games in one. Enjoy playing chess and checkers on this side of the board. But if you're looking for some more fun, flip it and play the classic game of Sorry.
That's ingenious. Why hasn't anyone thought of that before?
Now you can take SpongeBob SquarePants wherever you go with the new SpongeBob SquarePants glow-in-the-dark yo-yo. And now, back to our show.
All right, we're back. So a lot of great toys, and actually it's very popular that while maybe you're watching cartoons, you get a lot of these commercials that are selling you all types of toys.
Absolutely, because normally children watch cartoons and children like toys, so it makes sense.
Exactly. So why don't we take a look at 6 key words that we have for you on language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
Okay, Marco, so what's the first word we're looking at here today?
All right, we have actually a brand, a very famous type of toy. They're called Legos.
Legos. So Legos. So Legos are basically little pieces that you put together to build things.
Yeah, they're like little blocks.
Okay, so when you see them, they don't look like anything.
Yeah.
But as a child, you get to create anything you want.
Mm-hmm. So Legos have become very famous. They have like special types that you can recreate, maybe a spaceship from Star Wars, a pirate ship, a lot of different types now.
Okay, so the one in today's commercial is pirate Legos. So they're building a pirate ship.
Exactly, Legos. All right. And the next toy that we have is also a proper noun. It's a brand, and it's called Play-Doh.
Play-Doh. Okay, so play, like playing with something, playing basketball. But Play-Doh is...
It's like clay, right?
It's like clay, but it's made out of flour, I think, and you can shape it into anything you want. So when I was little, I used to make Play-Doh animals. You know, you could make a ball, and then you make another ball, and then all of a sudden you have a cow.
Right. So it's a very soft texture type of a material that you can mold. You can give it different shapes. And that's what we call Play-Doh. Obviously, as you say, it's safe for children. I think it's made out of some flour,
salt and flour.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of children sometimes eat this, so it's pretty safe for kids.
Right. So yeah, that's Play-Doh. It's a proper noun, and I guess everyone just calls it Play-Doh. So this is the toy that we're talking about. Now, moving on, we are talking about the X-Men, Wolverine, Jean Grey, Rogue, Professor X, and all of these come in little statues that we call action figures.
All right, so what you're talking about here are obviously the X-Men, Marco. And X-Men, there are many different kinds of X-Men. You have, like you said, Wolverine, who's maybe one of the most famous, and Rogue. But When you collect these little statues, these little dolls, they're called action figures. So a figure is like a kind of doll.
Right. So the X-Men is just an example. You have action figures of all sorts of cartoons or movies. Star Wars action figures are very popular.
Right, or G.I. Joe action figures are very popular as well.
That's right. So they're little toy statues that children play with. All right, moving on. Now we have an adjective, a way to describe the X-Men.
That's right. So the X-Men, as you know, are not normal people. They have special powers. Some X-Men can fly. Wolverine has animal abilities. He can use his long claws. So these are mutants. That means that they were humans, but something changed in them, and it makes them have these special powers.
Okay. So a mutant is maybe a person that has special powers, like as you say, Wolverine and all these types of X-Men. But I guess taking maybe a look at the verb mutate, that means
To change.
to change, right?
Okay, so to mutate is to change. So we could say, I found a frog that had 3 legs.
Okay.
So it clearly mutated because normally frogs have like 4 legs.
Exactly. You see that sometimes with chickens that maybe have 2 heads or something like this.
These are mutants.
Okay.
They have mutated.
Okay, very good. And now moving on to our dolls. They were talking about these beautiful porcelain dolls.
Okay, so let's talk about porcelain because I think everyone knows what a doll is, but porcelain is a special kind of doll, right?
Right, it's a material. And usually you can find this material very commonly in your plates.
All right, so it's not clear, it's not glass.
No.
It's colored, it's normally whitish, and very, very fine, very pretty.
So you call it porcelain. I guess it's a type of ceramic, right?
That's right.
Okay. So yeah, you have porcelain dolls. Many people also have very fine china that you call it, like dinner plates.
Or teacups.
Or teacups, and those are usually made of porcelain. All right, and finally, they were talking about a game that has 3 games in one, and one of the kids said, wow, that's ingenious.
Ingenious. This is a great word. Makes you sound really fluent. So ingenious basically means clever.
Right.
It's a really good idea.
It's very a clever, good idea, yeah. So if something is ingenious, it's just, wow, it's very creative.
For example, I have a pair of gloves, but on the fingers, sometimes I can pull a cover over them and they turn into mittens. Right? I think it's ingenious.
You have
because
gloves and mittens.
I have gloves and mittens all the time.
All right. So a lot of interesting words there, a lot of specific toys and particularly brands that you may or may not know. But why don't we go back and listen to the dialogue again, and we'll be back with Fluency Builder. SpongeBob SquarePants will be right back after these brief messages. What's that on the horizon? A pirate ship! Raid villages and find buried treasure with this new Pirates Lego set. Build the ship and decide who rules the sea. Har!
Cool! The new Play-Doh Sparkling Brights Precious Gem Press. Make large, colorful gems for you and your friends with 5 special molds. Comes with the new Sparkling Brights Play-Doh compound in 4 new colors. Treasure chest sold separately.
Wow, Mommy! Can I get that for my birthday? Wolverine, Jean Grey, Rogue, and Professor X. Collect all 4 of these special edition collectible X-Men action figures and decide the future of the mutants in our world.
No way! I want Professor X! The new Collector's Edition Nursery Rhymes Porcelain Dolls. Little Bo Peep comes with her own sheep and staff. Her clothes are made with the finest fabrics and real Italian lace, and her face has been hand-painted by our finest artists. Only $199. Ooh, she's pretty. I've never had a porcelain doll before.
I doubt Mom and Dad will get you that for your birthday. She costs a pretty penny. Plus, you'd most likely break her. What is better than a board?
What is better than one board game? 3 board games in one. Enjoy playing chess and checkers on this side of the board. But if you're looking for some more fun, flip it and play the classic game of Sorry.
That's ingenious! Why hasn't anyone thought of that before? Now you can take SpongeBob SquarePants wherever you go with the new SpongeBob SquarePants glow-in-the-dark yo-yo. And now, back to our show.
Okay, so the first phrase here in Fluency Builder is a really important one for anyone who's buying anything because you often see this phrase on packages or you hear it in commercials.
Right. As you saw in the Play-Doh commercial, the guy said, treasure chest sold separately.
Okay, sold separately. That means the treasure chest is not included. You have to buy it extra.
As you say, you usually see it in packaging as well. Maybe you buy a toy car. And at the bottom, it will say batteries sold separately.
That means there are no batteries in the box. You have to buy batteries extra.
Exactly. So that's what the phrase sold separately means. It indicates that it's not included in the product that you are buying. All right. Now moving on again to the action figures and the dolls. We saw this very interesting way of describing them. For example, the action figure said, special edition collectible X-Men action figures.
Okay, special edition. This is really important, and it's very common, I think, with special toys or action figures or even baseball cards. Special edition means that they're produced specially on one occasion at one time. They're not always produced.
Right. So, for example, if you have, like you say, baseball cards or maybe action figures, they're produced normally, but then a limited amount, a special type of the same action figure will be produced. So that's a special edition, or also commonly known as a collector's edition.
All right. So some people collect stamps, stamps for letters that you send. And I know many countries like America offer special edition or collector's edition stamps. These are produced once, and usually they mark a special occasion. Like the Olympics in 1996, we had special edition stamps.
Right. So these special edition objects are usually not used. They're for collectors, like the name says, right? Collector's edition.
Right. So you plan to sell them later on, or you collect them for yourself. They're not normal.
Right. They usually go up in value because they're very limited.
That's right.
Okay. So collector's edition, special edition. And now when they were talking about the porcelain dolls as well, it's pretty expensive, right? Almost $200.
That's a really expensive doll.
And so one of the kids said, you know what? I think mom and dad won't buy you that because it costs a pretty penny.
A pretty penny. This does not mean that the penny is beautiful.
Right. A penny is a 1-cent coin in the United States.
That means it's very, very low in value, the coin. But a pretty penny is actually the opposite. It means it's very expensive.
So how would you use this in another example?
I've always wanted to buy a Ferrari, but man, Ferraris cost a pretty penny.
Okay. So you have to add the word cost before you say pretty penny, right?
That's right. You can't say it is a pretty penny. You have to say it costs a pretty penny or...
It's worth a pretty penny.
Exactly. It's worth a pretty penny.
Okay. Very good. And for our last phrase, I think this one is a very good phrase because it describes a lot of different toys that glow in the dark. Glow-in-the-dark toys.
Okay, so something that glows in the dark, the verb here is to glow, means that it can be seen even when it's dark. Okay?
Right.
So, for example, when I turn the lights off and I can see this yo-yo in my room, that means it's glow-in-the-dark. It has light even in the dark.
Right, so there are a lot of different toys and things like this. Usually glow-in-the-dark toys, they have a green glow, right? They look
That's
green
right.
in the dark.
I used to have stars. So they were stickers, star stickers, and I put them on my ceiling so that when I was in bed, I could look at them, and they were glow in the dark. So when the lights were off, I still had stars.
You can still see them, right? So yeah, glow in the dark. It's a way of describing an item, an object that you are able to see in the dark. All right, so that's all we have for you on language. All right, so that's all we have for you on Fluency Builder. Why don't we go back, listen to the dialogue one last time, and we'll be back to talk some more.
SpongeBob SquarePants will be right back after these brief messages. What's that on the horizon? A pirate ship. Raid villages and find buried treasure with these new Pirates Lego set. Build the ship and decide who rules the sea. Har!
Cool!
The new Play-Doh Sparkling Brights Precious Gem Press. Make large, colorful gems for you and your friends with 5 special molds. Comes with the new Sparkling Brights Play-Doh compound in 4 new colors. Treasure chest sold separately.
Wow, Mommy! Can I get that for my birthday?
Wolverine, Jean Grey, Rogue, and Professor X. Collect all 4 of these special edition collectible X-Men action figures and decide the future of the mutants in our world.
No way! I want Professor X!
The new collector's edition nursery rhymes porcelain dolls. Little Bo Peep comes with her own sheep and staff. Her clothes are made with the finest fabrics and real Italian lace, and her face has been hand-painted by our finest artists. Only $199.
Ooh, she's pretty! I've never had a porcelain doll before. I doubt Mom and Dad will get you that for your birthday. She costs a pretty penny. Plus, you'd most likely break her.
What is better than a board? What is better than 1 board game? 3 board games in 1. Enjoy playing chess and checkers on this side of the board. But if you're looking for some more fun, flip it and play the classic game of Sorry.
That's ingenious! Why hasn't anyone thought of that before?
Now you can take SpongeBob SquarePants wherever you go with the new SpongeBob SquarePants glow-in-the-dark yo-yo. And now, back to our show.
All right, so talking about toys, these are really interesting toys. Are there any specific toys that you had when you were growing up or that you really, really liked?
I had an amazing Brio train set. Okay, this is when I was young, and a train set is basically like Legos with trains. So you build a track, and you push the train around the track. And so I used to have a track that was as big as the living room. And my challenge, my goal was to use every single piece.
Wow.
Which is very hard because some pieces don't fit with other pieces. And so that was my favorite toy because I got to be very creative.
And then you would turn on the train and it would go away.
It wasn't electric.
Oh, it wasn't
so
electric.
I had to push it myself.
Ah, okay.
What was your favorite toy?
Actually, when I was growing up, I used to collect little toy cars. I had a lot of...
Surprise!
I used to have a lot of little toy cars, and I even had a little special, I don't know, like a box for them when you can, so I could see them. And then as time went on, I got to collect the scale cars, you know, the ones that are 1 to 10, 1 to 4.
Did you build them or did you buy them made?
No, usually I bought them made. I actually tried the whole building model cars, model airplanes, but it's so hard.
Very hard. Even adults have a hard time with
It's
that.
very difficult. So I don't know what type of kid actually does that when they're growing up. But yeah, so many toys out there. So many people collect them, play with them. You have childhood toys that you're very fond of. So that's what we want to know. What type of toy did you grow up with? What did you like to play with when you were a kid?
Or if you have kids, what toys do your kids like? Because we're not too familiar with toys these days. We'd be curious to hear about those.
That's right. So we want to hear from you. Come to EnglishPod.com and we'll see everyone there.
Bye.
Bye. The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
A container used to give its shape to something. Mold. Considered valuable by collectors. Collectible. A posable plastic figurine of a character. Action figure. A kind of toy. Yo-yo. An animated television series. SpongeBob SquarePants. A toy set of Lego. Pirates Lego set. A group of similar things that belong together. Set. A fictional superhero team. X-Men. A modeling compound used by children. Play-Doh. A chest filled with valuables. Treasure chest.
Let's try that faster.
A chest filled with valuables. Treasure chest. A fictional superhero team. X-Men. Considered valuable by collectors. Collectible. A container used to give its shape to something. Mold. A modeling compound used by children. Play-Doh. A group of similar things that belong together. Set. An animated television series. SpongeBob SquarePants. A posable plastic figurine of a character. Action figure. A kind of toy. Yo-yo. A toy set of Lego. Pirates Lego set.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Set. The little girls took out their tea set and had a tea party. Set. This Lego set comes with 5 men, a dragon, and 2 horses. Set. Own all 3 sets of exotic toy animals and create your own zoo. Mold. He pressed the Play-Doh into the mold. Mold. She poured the cake batter into the cake mold and then placed it in the oven. Mold. He gently lifted the mold off of the sand and smiled at the sandcastle he had made. Collectible. I keep this doll on the shelf in its original box because it is a collectible doll. Collectible. I have a lot of collectible items, such as baseball cards and model airplanes. Collectible. Every year for my birthday, my uncle gives me a collectible coin. Action figure. This action figure can shoot a laser from its arm. Action figure. My sister has several Toy Story action figures. Action figure. The actress thought it was weird to see her face on her character's action figure. Yo-yo. This guy in my school does crazy tricks with his yo-yo during recess. Yo-yo. She looped the string around her finger, threw the yo-yo, grabbed the string several times, and performed a trick. Yo-yo. The only thing I know how to do with a yo-yo is how to throw it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and we're shoe shopping again.
That's right, we are going shoe shopping, but this time it's a little bit more complicated because we're getting women's shoes.
That's right. So there are so many different kinds of women's shoes. I'm not even sure I know them all myself, but in this intermediate level lesson, we're going to cover some of the basics for you.
That's right. So before we jump into this dialogue, we have a word that we want to preview with you today, and let's take a look at it now on Vocabulary Preview.
Vocabulary Preview.
Okay, so we're shopping today for a certain kind of shoe. It's not a sports shoe, it's a dress shoe.
Okay, that kind of doesn't make sense because a dress is a noun, a shoe is a noun. And so you want to get a shoe that's a dress?
No. A dress shoe is a style of shoe. It means shoes that you wear when you're wearing fancy clothes.
So it's kind of like a formal shoe. A dress shoe is for a shoe, a type of shoe that would go well with a dress.
That's right, not sneakers. But don't be fooled. This is not about dresses, because men can wear dress shoes too.
That's right.
It means shoes you would wear to a conference or to a wedding or to church. So these are things that are a little bit fancier than everyday shoes.
Okay, awesome. So we're shopping for a dress shoe, and there are so many types and styles of shoes for women. So why don't we listen to our dialogue for the first time, and we'll be back in a second.
Hi, excuse me, sir. I'm looking for a dress shoe. My usual pair that I've had for years have finally been stretched out of shape. They don't provide any support anymore.
Sure. What kind of shoe are you looking for? We've got strappy sandals, sleek high heels, edgy pumps. If you're looking for something a little more practical, we've got Mary Janes, ballerinas.
Show me some classic high heels, please.
Okay, right this way. What color did you have in mind?
Black. Classic.
Of course. We've got this style here that is very popular. Because it's an open-toe shoe, you can wear it any time of the year. They look great on everyone.
Too shiny. And I wear pantyhose with my shoes, so let's look for a closed-toe shoe.
Okay, these are a very nice pair of leather shoes with a 2-inch heel, so they are very comfortable.
I don't like the pointed toes. Let me take a look at what else you have. Too high. That one looks like the back would cut into my heel. I have a high instep, so I doubt that one would fit properly. I don't want bows. I find slingbacks very uncomfortable. Those might as well be stilettos. Too modern. Ah, finally! This is what I'm looking for.
What size?
7.5.
Here we are. How does it fit?
Not good. They're too tight. The length is right, but the shoe is too narrow and it's pinching my toes. And there'd be no room for my insoles. You know what? I don't think I have the patience for this today. They just don't make shoes like they used to. I'll come back another time.
Have a nice day, ma'am.
All right, we're back. So a lot of shoe styles, as you noticed, a lot of them are very, I don't know, I don't even know what they are. So why don't we try and explain them now on Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
So the first kind of shoe we've got here is very popular in the summer. It's called a strappy sandal.
A strappy sandal. So we know what a sandal is.
Yep.
It's kind of like what you wear to the beach. It's a shoe that it doesn't really cover your whole foot, just the bottom.
It's very open.
Mm-hmm. And well, what about strappy?
Strappy comes from the word strap. So strap is like a thin piece of fabric or leather that connects other pieces. And so a strappy sandal means that it's got many of these different little straps on it, many lines everywhere that connect it. So it's very open. It's made of many different thin pieces.
Okay, good. So we have a strappy sandal, basically a sandal with many straps. And well, she went on to describe sleek high heel. So this is a two-part thing here. Sleek is an adjective, which basically means really cool looking.
Or more like it's pretty and fancy and usually sleek things are also kind of simple. Like a Jaguar is a very sleek car.
Okay. And so this is the adjective to describe the high heels. So we have high heels.
Okay, we have high heels that are kind of fancy shoe. Basically, these are shoes that are not flat. So the heel is very tall.
That's right. So basically, this is what a lot of women wear with dresses. Basically, the heel has a piece that kind of sticks out and makes the woman look taller. So basically, it's like they're walking on the tips of their toes the entire time.
Right, and they make click, clack, click, clack.
Exactly.
They make that sound. But there are different kinds of heels, okay? High heels obviously means that they're tall. You can have low heels, too. Those are shorter.
Okay.
But high heels, there are different kinds. One kind is pumps.
Pumps, okay? In the dialogue, we actually saw the salesman describe them as edgy pumps. So edgy, what does edgy mean, though?
Edgy means cool or hip.
All right.
So young people like to wear edgy clothes, like rock and roll kind of clothes. Not so much older people.
Okay. And pumps are a type of high heel, you say, but what is the difference?
Well, pumps basically are the kind of simple heel that a woman will wear with a pantsuit or with a skirt to the office. And so they usually have a closed toe, and they're quite simple heels.
Okay. And the opposite, or well, maybe a little bit different from pumps, would be stilettos.
So stilettos are a very special kind of heel. Stiletto. It refers basically to the difference in the back of the shoe where you have the heel. Because sometimes heels are kind of thick and heavy and they make the clunk clunk sound.
Right.
But stilettos are very, very, very thin and very, very tall.
Okay. So stiletto heels. I think it's probably easier to walk with pumps rather than stilettos, right?
Stilettos are famous for being very, very hard to walk in. It's almost like the back of your heel is a chopstick.
Wow. I cannot imagine doing that. All right, so this is the classification of our high heels. Why don't we move on now to Mary Jane's?
Okay, so we've got high heels and heels, but we also have flats. These are flat shoes. So one important kind of flat is a Mary Jane. Sounds like a name, right?
Yeah, it is a name, right? Mary Jane.
Mary Jane.
So what type of shoe is this?
This is basically usually a leather shoe, but it can be different materials. And it's round in the front, and it has one strap, and they're very cute.
Okay.
Usually little girls wear Mary Janes, but they're pretty popular these days with older people too.
Okay. So they're round in the front, they are usually black, and they have one little strap that goes over the top of your foot. Mary Jane's. Okay. All right, so we've taken a look at Mary Jane's. Now moving on to, I think it's a similar type of shoe, ballerina shoes.
Well, ballerina shoes are similar because they're flat, but that's about it. Ballerina shoes are very, very thin. They're very, very weak. And usually they're pretty simple. They're pink or white or black. And they're almost like a slipper.
Okay, so they don't have the strap on top.
No, they're stretchy, and you just slide them onto your foot. It's named after dancers, ballerinas. You know, the dancers who wear pink, and they put their hair up, and they spin around. And they're not hard on the bottom. They're usually quite soft, and they're always flat.
So maybe these ballerina shoes, they're not the specific types of shoes for dancing if you're a ballerina.
Right.
But maybe they're more adequate for maybe walking around the house or something. You don't really go out hiking with ballerina shoes.
No, you don't go out hiking, but they're very popular to wear now to school or work.
Okay. And the other type of shoes that we had, actually, this was really confusing to me. Slingback shoes.
Well, slingbacks can be hard because they can be heels. They could be pumps, but it basically refers to a part of the shoe.
Okay.
So normal shoes, they cover the back of your foot, but slingbacks have one strap in the back. So maybe if I look at my foot in a slingback, I can see part of my heel.
Right. Okay, so slingbacks have a little strap on the back of your heel since the shoe doesn't close in the back.
Right.
Okay, but you also have high heels and women's shoes that don't close in the back, but that you don't have a strap in the back either, right?
Those are open shoes.
Open shoes.
Yeah, they're open in the back. But a slingback, there's one strap that keeps your shoe on.
Okay. A lot of different types of shoes we've just taken a look at. Why don't we go back, listen to the dialogue again, and we'll be back shortly with Fluency Builder.
Hi, excuse me, sir. I'm looking for a dress shoe. My usual pair that I've had for years have finally been stretched out of shape. They don't provide any support anymore.
Sure. What kind of shoe are you looking for? We've got strappy sandals, sleek high heels, edgy pumps. If you're looking for something a little more practical, we've got Mary Jane's, ballerinas.
Show me some classic high heels, please.
Okay, right this way. What color did you have in mind?
Black. Classic.
Of course. We've got this style here that is very popular. Because it's an open-toe shoe, you can wear it any time of the year. They look great on everyone.
Too shiny. And I wear pantyhose with my shoes, so let's look for a closed-toe shoe.
Okay, these are a very nice pair of leather shoes with a 2-inch heel, so they are very comfortable.
I don't like the pointed toes. Let me take a look at what else you have. Too high. That one looks like the back would cut into my heel. I have a high instep, so I doubt that one would fit properly. I don't want bows. I find slingbacks very uncomfortable. Those might as well be stilettos. Too modern. Finally! This is what I'm looking for.
What size?
7.5.
Here we are. How does it fit?
Not good. They're too tight. The length is right, but the shoe is too narrow and it's pinching my toes. And there'd be no room for my insoles. You know what? I don't think I have the patience for this today. They just don't make shoes like they used to. I'll come back another time.
Have a nice day, ma'am.
All right, we're back. So now let's take a look at 5 key things on Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
Okay, well, the reason we're shopping today is because the woman needs a new pair of shoes because her old shoes can't be worn anymore. What's wrong with them, Marco?
She said that they were stretched out of shape.
Okay, so to stretch or to be stretched out, this means that maybe they've been pulled and worn and they're stretched so much that they don't have the original shape anymore.
Right. So just imagine you have a new t-shirt and all of a sudden somebody takes you from your t-shirt and pulls you really hard. And usually what happens is this t-shirt is going to be stretched out of shape. You pulled it so hard that it loses its original form. So now maybe the neck is very low or the t-shirt is too long on one side.
Right.
So that's what happens when you stretch something out of shape.
Great.
Okay.
So her old shoes are stretched out of shape and they don't provide support anymore.
Okay. So to provide support. Now, what kind of support is she referring to?
She's talking about foot support. So, for example, slippers are a kind of shoe, basically, that don't provide support. They're very soft. But can you walk around all day in slippers? No, it doesn't help your foot. But if you're trying to find shoes that are really good for walking, you need to find ones that provide support. That means that always support your foot, the bottom of your foot. Otherwise, your foot gets too tired.
Not only the bottom, but it could be also your ankle. For example, if you can't really go hiking with shoes like these with sandals because obviously you're walking around rocks and it doesn't provide support on your ankle. Maybe you can hurt your ankle if you don't have it.
So maybe a hiking boot will provide more support.
Exactly. All right. And then the woman also mentioned that, it's hard for her to find a shoe because she said, I have a high instep.
Okay, so think about the foot. You've got toes in the very front and a heel in the very back, but in the middle, on top, you have the instep. So this is basically the top of your foot.
Okay. So if she has a high instep, it means that her foot is kind of thick.
That's right. Some people have thin feet. She has kind of a thick foot. So fitting her foot into a shoe is sometimes hard.
Right. We're not talking about the width of the foot. We're talking about the height,
like
or how tall it is.
From the bottom to the top of the foot.
Right. So that's what she means by high instep. And, they also mentioned different types of shoes. She said she didn't want an open-toe shoe. She wanted a closed-toe shoe.
That's right. So this is a really important classification for women's shoes, especially. Open-toe means that the toe of the shoe, the very, very front, has a hole or an opening, so you can see the toes.
Right.
Closed toe is the opposite. So personally, in the wintertime, I always wear closed-toed shoes because I think open-toe shoes are too cold.
Too cold. Okay. So that's basically it. I guess men, we don't really have this type of shoe between open-toe and closed-toe.
No, maybe. No, you don't really. But heels, maybe you could have an open-toe. You can have an open-toe shoe or a closed-toed shoe.
Right. Okay. So a lot of interesting things. This is useful for women out there and also for boyfriends. Maybe now you know what type of shoe your girlfriend may want.
That's right.
All right. So let's listen to this dialogue for the last time and we'll be back shortly.
Hi, excuse me, sir. I'm looking for a dress shoe. My usual pair that I've had for years have finally been stretched out of shape. They don't provide any support anymore.
Sure. What kind of shoe are you looking for? We've got strappy sandals, sleek high heels, edgy pumps. If you're looking for something a little more practical, we've got Mary Janes, ballerinas.
Show me some classic high heels, please.
Okay, right this way. What color did you have in mind?
Black. Classic.
Of course. We've got this style here that is very popular. Because it's an open-toe shoe, you can wear it any time of the year. They look great on everyone.
Too shiny. And I wear pantyhose with my shoes, so let's look for a closed-toe shoe.
Okay, these are a very nice pair of leather shoes with a 2-inch heel, so they are very comfortable.
I don't like the pointed toes. Let me take a look at what else you have. Too high. That one looks like the back would cut into my heel. I have a high instep, so I doubt that one would fit properly. I don't want bows. I find slingbacks very uncomfortable. Those might as well be stilettos. Too modern. Ah, finally! This is what I'm looking for.
What size?
7.5.
Here we are. How does it fit?
Not good. They're too tight. The length is right, but the shoe is too narrow and it's pinching my toes. And there'd be no room for my insoles. You know what? I don't think I have the patience for this today. They just don't make shoes like they used to. I'll come back another time.
Have a nice day, ma'am.
All right, so talking about shoes, there's so many types, and I think women are notoriously famous for having a lot of shoes. Why is this?
Some women are. Some women aren't. It depends on the person. But part of the problem, as you said earlier, is that there's so many different kinds of women's shoes that now we expect women to have a different pair of shoes for every different occasion. Work shoes, hiking shoes, running shoes, wedding shoes.
Right.
I don't know, summer shoes, winter shoes, fall shoes. So you need so many different kinds of shoes. You end up buying many different kinds.
I think that that's true, and also basically, women like to look nice, so that's why, you do your makeup, you have earrings, and they have nice bags. So I guess it's also part of it is that you pay more attention to what type of shoe you're wearing that maybe goes well with the outfit. I think maybe guys, not all guys obviously, as well as not all women, but guys are a little bit more generic. It's like jeans pretty much go well with any type of shoe as long as it's maybe black or brown, right? Or something like this.
True. Although I know a lot of guys who have many different kinds of shoes.
True. It takes up a lot of space in the closet as well.
It does. Shoes are hard to carry around.
And actually, I find it kind of hard to get rid of my shoes. I think they have to be ripped or just completely unwearable in order for me to throw a shoe away, because otherwise it's still, you can still wear it sometimes on the weekends.
No, that's true. Although I tend to wear my shoes down. That means I wear them until they die.
Really?
And
Actually,
then I throw them away.
I've had shoes that I've worn the soles down, and then I just get the sole changed because I like the shoe so much.
Oh. Well, let us know. Do you guys like to buy shoes? Do you have a lot of shoes? Maybe you don't have that many shoes. We're curious to know about this in other cultures as well, because I know in the States, in the United States, shoe shopping is very, very popular.
In Holland, they have traditional wooden shoes.
Yeah, they do. Those are called clogs.
Clogs. So let us know maybe what type of shoes are also very unique to your country or culture. We're at EnglishPod.com. We'll see everyone there.
Bye.
Bye. The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Something that holds a person. Support. A shoe with the bottom part having straps. Strappy sandals. A low-cut, low-heeled shoe. Edgy pump. The shoe with the toes exposed. Open-toed shoe. The length of the heel is 2 inches. 2-inch heel. The shoe having a narrow top. Pointed shoe. Squeeze between the thumb and a finger. Pinch. The inner sole of a shoe. Insole. Tight and hurts the body with a sharp thing. Cut into.
Let's try that faster.
The length of the heel is 2 inches. 2-inch heel. Tight and hurts the body with a sharp thing. Cut into. The inner sole of a shoe. Insole. Something that holds a person. Support. A shoe with the bottom part having straps. Strappy sandals. The shoe having a narrow top. Pointed shoe. Squeeze between the thumb and a finger. Pinch. The shoe with the toes exposed. Open-toed shoe. A low-cut, low-heeled shoe. Edgy pump.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Support. It is important that your shoes support the arches of your feet so that your ankles don't roll in. Support. Apparently my shoes are the cause of my back pain, so I need to get custom-made insoles that provide extra support. Support. I find that it is so much easier to walk in a shoe that has arch support. Cut into. My new shoes are cutting into the back of my heel. Cut into. The straps on these sandals are cutting into my feet. Cut into. I think my feet are too wide for this shoe because the shoe is starting to cut into the sides of my feet. 2-inch heel. I can't stand high heels, so if I have to wear them, I only ever wear shoes with a 1-inch heel. 2-inch heel. I don't know how models can stand, let alone walk in 4-inch heels. 2-inch heel. I love any kind of high heel shoes, but pumps with 3-inch heels are my favorite by far. Pinch. When I bought these shoes, they fit perfectly, but now I find that they are pinching my baby toe. Pinch. Does the size down fit better, or are they pinching your feet? Pinch. I haven't yet been able to buy shoes in China because the shoe sizes are smaller, so my toes are always pinched. Insole. I always put insoles in my shoes so I don't need to worry about how comfortable a shoe is before I buy it. Insole. The doctor suggested that my mother get special insoles made for her shoes. Insole. I always wear good quality shoes, so I never needed to buy insoles.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today we're going outside for our lesson.
That's right. Today we are gardening. We are going to set up our own garden.
Okay, that means growing plants and maybe even food. So let's take a listen to this dialogue, and we'll be back in a moment to talk more about it.
I've decided to grow my own garden.
What? You don't know the first thing about gardening.
On the contrary, I've been reading a lot of books about the subject.
Oh yeah? Tell me then, smarty pants. How will you go about setting up your garden?
Well, first I need to buy some things such as fertilizer, seeds, and tools.
What type of tools?
You know, the basics. A rake, shovel, spade, and a hoe.
Right. Well, it seems like you have all your bases covered. What's next?
I'll till the soil and then sow the seeds. I'll then add some fertilizer and voila, gardening all done.
Well, good luck with your garden, especially considering we're in the dry season and it won't rain for the next 3 months.
All right, we're back. So a lot of vocab related to gardening. We mentioned a lot of tools, and we're going to explain a lot of those now on Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
Okay, so gardening has some very special tools, like you said, Marco. The first one is one that I am not, well, it's actually not a tool. It's a part of gardening, something that we use to help the plants grow, and I really don't like it because it smells bad.
Exactly. It smells kind of bad, and it has a very strong smell, and that is called fertilizer.
Fertilizer. So basically, fertilizer is something that you use in a garden to help the plants grow better.
Right. I think it has a lot of vitamins and minerals that the plant needs to grow better, faster, stronger.
Exactly. Fertilizer.
Okay, good. And well, now we're going to mention 4 tools that we use in gardening, basic tools. The first one being a rake.
A rake. Rake. So a rake is actually something that's very common in most houses, especially houses with a yard or a garden.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a gardening tool, but it is something that has a long handle, and we use it to clear the ground of rocks or leaves.
Right. So just imagine it's kind of like a big brush for your garden. It collects things, right?
Right. It's like a big brush it's pulling things out of the ground or away from the ground, especially in the fall, like October or November, when all the leaves fall off the trees and you have to take them off the grass. You use a rake to pull them.
So you use a rake to pull them, and you also call the action of using a rake, you say you rake the garden.
To rake.
Okay.
That's right. So to rake the leaves. I hate raking the leaves.
All right. And now the other tool that we have is very common, not only in gardening, but for construction work, for many things. You have a shovel.
Shovel. So a shovel is basically a big metal spoon.
Right.
And you use it to make a hole in the ground.
Exactly. So, as we say, we use it a lot in gardening to make holes for maybe the plants, but also in construction, if you want to make a hole in the ground and things like this, you use a shovel. And now a smaller version of the shovel that you use only with your hand, this is called a spade.
A spade. So this is very small, like you said, and it's actually special because of its shape. A spade has a point. A shovel is round and a spade has a point. And what's interesting, Marco, is it's actually very common somewhere else.
In cards.
That's right, in cards. So cards have different shapes. One is a heart, one is a diamond. One of them is a spade. So the one that's pointy, that's called a spade, and it's used for digging kind of precision holes.
Right, exactly. So maybe you don't want to use a big shovel. If you want to make maybe a small hole in the ground, you would use a spade. And now our last tool has a kind of a funny spelling. It's H-O-E, and it's pronounced hoe.
Hoe. So again, this is a tool with a very long handle, and you use it to maybe make the ground softer or to turn up the ground. So when you're first starting to plant a garden, the ground is very hard. It's very tough, right? And this is a really important tool for that period because you can basically turn up the ground. You're not digging anything, but you're mixing up the dirt a little bit to make it softer.
Okay, very good. So that's when you use this tool. It's kind of a dirt or a soil mixer.
You can also pull out those nasty weeds with a hoe.
Okay, good. So 4 key tools that we've just taken a look at now. But now let's move on to 2 verbs that are basically very important when you're talking about gardening and all this. Is, as you mentioned, you talked about mixing the soil. And in the next line, we see that it says, I'll till the soil. To till.
Okay, so basically this is a way of turning up that soil, but you're doing it kind of in lines, right? So you're mixing up the soil and making it soft. You're preparing the soil for planting. And so you till the soil. Soil, of course, in this case is that dirt. It's earth.
Right, it's earth. So to till is to prepare it for planting.
Till the soil, that's right.
To till the soil, okay.
And what do we do after the soil has been tilled?
Well, then we sow the seeds.
Okay, so seeds are baby plants, basically. And we sow the seeds. When we sow the seeds, we're putting the seeds into the ground.
So that's basically planting the seeds. You can say we plant the seeds or we sow the seeds.
Okay.
And the opposite of sowing?
The opposite of sowing is reaping. R-E-A-P, to reap. So we actually have a phrase in English. This is very, very famous, very common. We say, you reap what you sow.
You reap what you sow. That's right. So you basically collect what you planted, and that's kind of what you do in life.
So we say, if you haven't planted anything good, you're not going to reap anything good.
Exactly. It's a very popular phrase. All right. So we've covered a lot of vocab here. Why don't we go back, listen to the dialogue again, and we'll be back with Fluency Builder.
I've decided to grow my own garden.
What? You don't know the first thing about gardening.
On the contrary, I've been reading a lot of books about the subject.
Oh yeah? Tell me then, smarty pants. How will you go about setting up your garden?
Well, first I need to buy some things such as fertilizer, seeds, and tools.
What type of tools?
You know, the basics. A rake, shovel, spade, and a hoe.
Right. Well, it seems like you have all your bases covered. What's next?
I'll till the soil and then sow the seeds. I'll then add some fertilizer and voila, gardening all done.
Well, good luck with your garden, especially considering we're in the dry season and it won't rain for the next 3 months.
All right, we're back, and we have 4 phrases for you on Fluency Builder, and we're going to take a look at those now.
Fluency Builder.
This first phrase is useful in any conversation, I think, especially if you're trying to impress somebody. So basically, one person in this dialogue says, you know what? You don't know the first thing about gardening. That means you don't know anything about gardening. And what does he say in response?
On the contrary.
On the contrary. So the contrary means the opposite. So basically, this means the opposite is true.
Right. You're basically saying, I disagree. What you are saying is false. It's actually the opposite.
So maybe, I have a feeling, Marco, that it's going to rain tomorrow.
Actually, on the contrary, I saw in the news that it's going to be very sunny tomorrow.
Oh, well, that's good news.
So that's a way of maybe politely disagreeing with someone or saying to someone that, well, you're wrong. It's actually the opposite of what you're saying. Okay. Moving on to our second phrase. It's actually a colloquial way of kind of making fun of someone. When you say, all right, then, smarty pants.
Okay, smarty pants. Don't think about this too much. We're not talking about pants, actually.
Right.
But this is a way of saying, okay, if you're so smart, then tell me that. It's sarcasm.
It's sarcasm, exactly.
Yeah. So this person says, oh, actually, I know a lot about gardening. And the other person says, oh, really, smarty pants?
So you can actually describe a person in this way. Maybe a person that it thinks they know a lot, or sometimes what you say, a Mr. Know-It-All. You also say it's a smarty pants.
Right, so someone who thinks they know a lot, or everything even.
Right, Mr. Know-It-All, or a smarty pants. All right, and our third phrase is interesting because we have a setup here. When the person says, how will you go about setting up your garden, right?
Okay, so to go about doing something. There's 2 important parts of this. So, Marco, the first part is how you go about. This means how you do.
Right. So you're basically, how will you do this?
What's your approach?
What's your approach? So how will you go about plus and then the verb in ing. So how will you go about setting up your garden? How will you start, or what is your approach to creating your garden?
So maybe, Marco, you want to write a book, and I can ask you, well, how will you go about starting your book?
Right. Or if I'm writing a book, you can say, how will you go about investigating for your book? So what is the approach you're going to take? How will you do it?
How do you plan on doing something?
Exactly. And our final phrase here is very commonly used for all sorts of situations. Basically, if a person is prepared, you say, well, you have all your bases covered.
Okay, this is a great phrase. It comes right from sports. Very common in English to have sports phrases. This comes from the sport baseball.
Right.
So in baseball, the field is a diamond. There are 4 corners or 4 bases, and the runners have to go from one base to the other, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they get a point. But in this case, we're saying the other team, they have their bases covered. That means they're protecting their bases. And in speech, we say, if you have your bases covered, like you said, Marco, you're very well prepared.
Right. So you're ready, you're prepared, you have really planned out and thought of what you're going to do, so you have all your bases covered.
So, Marco, for example, you just told me that it's going to be sunny tomorrow, but I think it still might rain. So, to have all my bases covered, I'm going to bring an umbrella anyway.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Or maybe you have a presentation at work and you've prepared your PowerPoint presentation, you have your drawings, your copies, you have everything ready. You have all your bases covered for that meeting.
That's right.
Okay. So why don't we go back and listen to our dialogue for the last time, and we'll be back to talk a little bit more.
I've decided to grow my own garden.
What? You don't know the first thing about gardening.
On the contrary, I've been reading a lot of books about the subject.
Oh yeah? Tell me then, smarty pants. How will you go about setting up your garden?
Well, first I need to buy some things such as fertilizer, seeds, and tools.
What type of tools?
You know, the basics. A rake, shovel, spade, and a hoe.
Right. Well, it seems like you have all your bases covered. What's next?
I'll till the soil and then sow the seeds. I'll then add some fertilizer and voila! Gardening all done.
Well, good luck with your garden, especially considering we're in the dry season and it won't rain for the next 3 months.
All right, we're back. So gardening is actually a very popular thing in many countries. I know many people as well who prefer to have their own personal garden to grow their own vegetables, which they say taste a lot different from the ones you buy at the supermarket.
They do. I think personally that homegrown vegetables, so vegetables that you grow yourself, tend to taste a lot better than the ones you get in the grocery store. They also look different. They're not as pretty.
Right.
But that's because they have less chemicals.
Yeah, I think it's a very popular thing, and well, not only gardening your own vegetables, but some people just enjoy it as a hobby to have some plants and different types of things in their backyard.
Yeah, many people say it's very relaxing. You get to go outside, you're in the sunshine. It's a very calming activity.
Yeah, it seems like it's very relaxing. A little bit boring at times. Is basically you're waiting for your plants to grow. But I imagine that once they do, you've accomplished it, it must feel great to see that you've actually brought life.
I'm sure, like 20 minutes every day. It's not so bad.
Yeah. It's actually a very interesting hobby, and we want to know if in your country or in your town, do you have enough space for a garden? Do you like gardening or maybe growing your own food? I think that's a very interesting topic.
Yeah, let us know what you think. Do you do this? Do you have friends who garden? Our website is englishpod.com. We hope to see you there.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
In opposition to what has been stated. On the contrary. To make ready for use. Set up. A hand implement consisting of a row of teeth. Rake. A tool with a long handle used for lifting and throwing. Shovel. A tool with a heavy metal blade used for digging. Spade. A garden tool that has a flat blade on a long hand. Hoe. Have all the things prepared. Base covered. A person who tries to show he is so smart. Smarty pants. Prepare for growing plants. Till. Something used when something is being presented. Voila.
Let's try that faster.
In opposition to what has been stated. On the contrary. A tool with a heavy metal blade used for digging. Spade. A hand implement consisting of a row of teeth. Rake. A tool with a long handle used for lifting and throwing. Shovel. To make ready for use. Set up. Prepare for growing plants. Till. A person who tries to show he is so smart. Smarty pants. A garden tool that has a flat blade on a long hand. Hoe. Have all the things prepared. Base covered. Something used when something is being presented. Voila.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
On the contrary. On the contrary, many Canadians do not speak French, especially in Western Canada. On the contrary. On the contrary, watering your plants every day will often kill them. On the contrary. On the contrary, I agree with you completely this time. Smarty pants. She thinks she's such a smarty pants just because she can remember all 50 states and their capitals. Smarty pants. If you're such a smarty pants, then what is 9 times 6.5 divided by 1.8 subtract 0.57? Smarty pants. So tell us, smarty pants, what should we do next, since none of our ideas seem good enough for you? Hoe. I grabbed my gardening hoe and started scraping the weeds out of my garden. Hoe. My neighbor always uses the scuffle hoe, but I prefer the heart hoe. Hoe. My mom's back problems went away as soon as we bought her a garden hoe because she didn't have to keep bending over to take the weeds out of the garden. Base covered. We covered all the bases in the first meeting. Now let's get down to business. Base covered. As for financial security, she had all her bases covered. Base covered. Are you sure we covered all the bases, or did we miss something? Till. The workers tilled the soil until sundown. Till. I grabbed my spade, garden fork, and rake and went out to till my garden. Till. It is not good to till your soil more than once or twice per year.